Hey everybody, it's Logan Hall back for another grill stream. Today we're doing something fairly simple and straightforward. We're doing smoked chicken wings, and I'm entering my patio now as we speak. Let me just close the door, and let me set you guys up here, and I'll kind of walk through what we're- or walk through the plan today. Okay, let's set you guys down there. Okay, all right. All right, so today we're doing smoked chicken wings. And so we'll be doing this on the KJ again. But now now sort of here's the thing. I've already done wings in the past here. But the first time I did wings on this, I guess, live stream was actually I did it in sort of a basket, like a rotating basket. Um, and those definitely turned out very good, but I want to try a slightly different method this time, just to see sort of how the results differ, right? So let me walk around here, and I think what we want to do first is to actually get the fire going. So normally, prior to me um, starting the streams, I like to start the fire a little bit early, just because that gives me the opportunity to allow it to come up to temperature and whatnot. But I think this time what I'll do is I'll kind of show you how I build this one, or at least do this setup, right? Um, so this is the setup that we had for our last stream, and that was the overtop chili. So that turned out really, really well. Um, and I would definitely do that again. But for the purposes of this one, we will actually keep this sort of shape thing in here. So this is used when I want to smoke things. So this is called the slow roller. And essentially what it does is it kind of concentrates the smoke to kind of be sort of like in one area. But also we're going to be using the very top of it today. So this is what the top looks like. Uh, Let me just kind of line that up. Let's see. All right, I think that's good. Also, the reason why it sort of looks the way that it looks is this was very hot one time, and I guess I stepped on this while it was sort of laying on the ground, I guess. But anyway, so that's why it kind of looks like that. Oop, I didn't mean to bump you guys, but let's go ahead and position this a little bit better here. I think that'll work. Um, and again, before we put this lid on, we have to put some more charcoal in. We do actually have a pretty decent amount of charcoal from the last time in here, but I do want to get a little bit more. So let me go grab the bag real quick. So let's add a bit more. Let me actually get a pair of scissors real quick. I need to make this opening a little bit larger, and I don't think I can do that without any scissors. So I'll be right back. Got some kitchen shears. A little bit bigger. That should be a decent amount, I think. Let me get just a little bit more. And also what we'll do, I'm actually going to add a piece of hickory in here as well. So when you're placing wood for actually smoking, what you want to do is you want to kind of put it, okay. So if you have multiple pieces of wood, like you'll just kind of scatter them around, and then cover a bit more charcoal up. Um, but if you only have one piece like this, what I typically do is I just kind of bury that, sort of in the middle, and then I put a bit more charcoal on top. I'll do that. All right. Also, sorry. So, okay. So also, by the way, I should mention that there is some work going on, like my neighbors today, so it might be a little bit noisy. Again, apologies for that, but let's go ahead and light this up and get our fire started. Let's see if that'll be enough to get it going. I might just go grab actually, you know what? I do have a fire sort of kindle over here. Let me grab that real. All right, so these are pretty nice too. So I use these to can sort of make I guess like the starting process a little bit easier. But let me go ahead and put my glove back on. Let's try that again. All right, so that Kindle will kind of just burn there a little bit. And then once we actually do have the fire going here, what I'll do is I'll put this sort of lid on. So while this is sort of doing this, like I'm getting everything started. So what this does, again, so this is part of the slow roller, and the slow roller is something that you use when you essentially want to smoke something. Um, Now, again, so sort of like the smoke will sort of come up through here, and then when you put the lid on, there's little sort of slits right here where the smoke will escape and kind of encompass sort of all the food that you're smoking here. Um, so, um, but again, so this can be used like for briskets, like or ribs or whatever. But again, I'm using it sort of in like a hot and fast setting here today. So the types of wings that I'm doing is called like a hot and fast method, where essentially I will be going at about 400 degrees for about 40 minutes here. Now again, so this is really meant to be used more for like temperatures that are between like 175, and sort of like to like really between like 180 like and 280 really. It's sort of like your optimal sort of smoking range. But again, I'll be using this today so that I get sort of even sort of smoke, sort of across the wings, but again, doing it more in like a sort of hot way. So anyway, so we're going to let that get up to temperature a little bit more, and then once we hit about 400, we'll actually put the wings on. But while we wait, let's go ahead and close that up. And I'm going to close, or not close, but I'll open this so that we have good sort of air circulation going here. Again, when you want to build fire, you need to have that open as well as the top vent too, so that you have constant sort of airflow going through. Again, when you sort of introduce more air, hey, how are you? I did. I did change my sunglasses because there's really not that many clouds out today. So, hello. Sorry, that was my neighbor there. Um, yeah. So again, so like I was saying, again, try to have good sort of airflow going through when you want to build the fire. When you get to the temperature you want, you can typically close these, and that'll kind of lock in lock in the temperature that you have, right? So let's go back over here, and I'll just kind of talk through what we have. Sorry, it's a little bit wobbly. Um, Actually, before I go here, let's just see if there's anybody here. Oh, hey, we got Rose. Hey, man, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. This will be a rather quick, well, okay, quick meeting that I will. This cook will probably take about an hour. Again, so it's going to be sort of in there for about like 40 minutes, like at 400. But again, sort of all the time that it sort of takes, like to get like the prep and for like the temperature going up. So that'll take like a little bit more time there. And again, in case this didn't come across earlier, I do have some work going on uh, by some neighbors sort of in like the background there. So again, apologies for that. But anyway, so let me go here and kind of flip on the other side here. And I'll kind of walk you through what we've got here. I'll take off these gloves here for the time being, but I've got some party wings from Costco. Um, so Costco, well, okay, first off, just like a nice little human sort of plug there like for Costco, but they have um, a lot of great meats, like and everything. And I typically get my meats from there. Um, again, usually it's going to be more, steak, like in brisket, like in that type of thing. Uh, but again, they sell these like packs of sort of party wings, and usually they come in like in packs of three, and like every pack is good for maybe if you have 2, 3, 4 people over, right? Um, but again, it's just me. So again, I'll actually have sort of half of this today and probably the other half for lunch tomorrow. But anyway, so we're starting to see some smoke come out of there. So we're going to let that keep on going. But again, it's a mixture of drums and flats. So what I did, oh, okay. So just to kind of speak about sort of what I did, like to prep these. So these were dry brined overnight in my fridge on these wire racks. And so prior to me putting them on the racks, what I did was I um, actually like tossed these all in a bit of salt and a bit of cornstarch. So the salt isn't necessarily for flavor here. The salt is really more to extract out moisture. And sort of that way you have sort of like that osmosis effect there. Um, but anyway, so when you want sort of crispy wings, that's what you want to do. You want to sort of introduce, salt so that can extract out moisture, and then that way you get a crispier wing. But also the cornstarch also adds to sort of like the crispiness as well. Um, so anyway, so I toss these in a bit of cornstarch and a bit of salt, um, and then sort of that sat in my fridge overnight. Um, and so now sort of prior to this, I took these out about 20 to 30 minutes ago. Again, if you cook these like straight from the fridge or straight from like a freezer or whatever, um, you're not going to get sort of as even of a doneness, right? Because again, you want your meat to come up to roughly sort of closer like to room temperature, sort of prior to you actually cooking it, so that you have a bit more evenness when you actually cook it. Um, but but yeah, so anyway, so that's what I did here. And again, these have been sort of out now for like a total of maybe 30 or so minutes. It'll take probably 10 to 15 minutes to get that thing sort of up to temperature. So we'll give that some time. But let me go ahead and actually flip you guys around here. Um, what got you into grilling? Hey, TB. TB, I don't think I've actually seen you before, but thank you for joining, man. I do appreciate that. Um, so what got me into grilling? That's actually a really good question. Um, so I would say that I first started to cook on my own when I was about like my junior sort of senior year in college. Um, so between freshman year and junior year, I was actually living sort of on site, in like a dorm. But then senior year, I decided to do my own thing, and I decided to go get like a one bedroom apartment that was like 15 minutes away from the campus. And so when I moved out on my own, you know I decided, hey, you know what, I need to learn how to cook. And I need to you know start sort of cooking for myself, because I didn't want to you know get sort of takeout every night, or because that adds up, and it's just not really healthy for you. Um so again, so what I did was I started to watch YouTube videos. I started to take notice like of recipes online, and again, things that sounded interested to me, I started to cook on my own. And of course, many many sort of mistakes were made, right? But again, again, sort of every sort of a mistake you make is sort of like an opportunity to learn, right? So I did a lot of learning early on, and I burned stuff, and I didn't quite sort of understand all the techniques and everything. But again, I essentially did a lot of experimentation, whatnot, sort of in like that first apartment. um, I then sort of you know evolved into um, into grilling. Now, this was only after I kind of moved out of my second apartment. I guess like my first two apartments, uh, they they were kind of in a situation where I couldn't have a grill. Like, so one of them was on a balcony, and like another one was sort of at ground level, but they would only allow electric grills, which basically means no flavor at all. Right? so, um, so let me get this back up to, I guess, sort of where you can see me. Um, yeah, yeah, that's a pretty good angle there. Let me do something like that. Um, anyway, so I got into sorry, that's a little bit lopsided. I'll just put that up there. But yeah, I got into grilling after I had a lot of experience with just sort of normal sort of home cooking. During my first two apartments, I couldn't really have a a grill, but I did have the desire to learn sort of how to take my cooking to like the next level, right? Um, so about 3 years ago, I bought this townhome, and this townhome home has a really nice covered patio. It has a space for like a few grills. I actually started out with with this Traeger over here, or actually here. You know what? Let me just kind of go over. So I actually started out with this little guy here, this little Weber. And I'm actually going to be using him in a later stream today, to kind of like talk through how to do a steak on something as basic as this. Um, but then after that, when I moved in here, um, I finally had enough space to get like a proper, grill and whatnot. So I got this Traeger Ironwood 650, and basically I bought this thinking that I could do both smoking and grilling with it. Um, you know, because again, because that's sort of what they sort of advertise. It can be sort of like an all-in-one grill. Well, that's really not that true. I would say that when you buy a Traeger, just kind of stick to smoking with it. Because as you get into like higher temperatures, 350, 400, sort of going sort of up to like to searing range, the Traeger's not going to perform well. It's really best when you do it, like at low temperatures, like your 180, like to 280 ish. Um, so then that prompted me, like, well, okay, this is great for smoking, but I want something that I could kind of use every day and essentially do sort of real cooks, like burgers, like and hot dogs, and like and stuff like that. So I bought this Napoleon Rogue 425 SB. Um, so this is a gas grill, obviously, and I use this for quite some time. Again, like the reason why I like this brand is they have a ton of different accessories that you can get with it. You can get like a rotisserie spit. You can get like a charcoal tray holder. Just lots and lots of different things. That you can sort of do with this grill. And for a while I was thinking, you know what, this might just be my final sort of setup here. Just these two here, like one for smoking and one for sort of everyday use, right? But then I decided to get this guy. So this is the Kamado Joe Classic 3. So this is their latest sort of in the line of sort of like their everyday kind of size, right? Or so this is like an 18-inch sort of cooking surface. Now they do offer the Big Joe as well, which is 24 inches of cooking space. Um, but again, this was more for like an impulse purchase because I really really sort of found out that like I really enjoyed the taste of charcoal, and again, sort of charcoal over propane. Sort of propane is fine, but again, charcoal is where the flavor is at. So again, I was, you know, again, sort of after getting, this and this, I was fairly happy, but I was still doing all my like charcoal cooks on this little guy. Um, and I just felt like it wasn't really cutting it. So I decided I wanted to get a dedicated charcoal cooker, basically, and kind of splurged on this. So this was actually off of Facebook Marketplace. Again, I got this for less than half off of retail. Uh, so again, just really tried like to capitalize on that, basically. But we've been doing a bit of talking here. Let's go ahead and see where we're at. So we're not quite to like the not sort of quite to where we want to be, sort of temperature wise. I actually may need to get a new gauge here because I just don't think it's really sort of all that accurate. They do actually have electric gauges now, or mm, even sort of like a digital gauge, which is something that like I might look into actually. But um, now, now when you do feel like you have a like an issue in terms of sort of like the temperature that is sort of reading out, um, you sort of actually can get like you can sort of actually get like a screwdriver and sort of like adjust sort of like the tolerance and sort of like the difference, right? Which is something that I probably need to do. Again, sort of one of these days, I might do like a grill maintenance video actually. Just kind of show you sort of how to how, how to sort of clean it, sort of how to like adjust the tolerance here. Sort of how to check like the tension in your sort of airlift hinge and wheels and like that stuff. But um Anyway, again, you're gonna have to answer your question, TB. I got into grilling because I essentially, you know, again, I started to live on my own, learned how to cook, and I wanted to uh, kind of take things like the next level, learn how to grill, and learn how to sort of entertain for people too. That's the other thing. I let's kind of flip back here while we wait for the grill to sort of come up to temperature. But I wanted to learn sort of how to entertain too, right? So my family lives about 2 hours away. So they come up maybe like once every 2 months or so. So I mean, I like to cook for them. And sort of ever since moving up to Nashville, like I've made some friends here, and you know, we 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 sort of often get together for football, like and things like that. Um, we don't sort of always like go to people's houses, like like it might be more just like that we go to like a, a sports bar or whatever, right? But sometimes they do want to come over, and they know that I cook, like they know that I grill. Um, so again, I like to be a host, and like I like to uh, sort of sort of show off, show off like my skills. But again, sort of in like the same vein, though, I think you know sort of like the next natural question is, okay, so you learned how to cook, you learned how to grill. Um, what got you to this level of grilling, right? Um, so I think most people would kind of stop at sort of at the at the sort of like the propane grill, right? They would just buy that first, and they would be sort of perfectly happy with that. And for 99% of people, that serves most of their needs. Um, but I've also kind of always been a person that strives to find the best possible method for doing something, or the best or most efficient way of you know just sort of searching for like the best quality in something, right? um so that has been a sort of like a sort of a character trait that has kind of been sort of kind of been to like my detriment, actually, because always striving for like the best possible thing, that that will definitely cost money too, right? And let me just kind of move this a little bit closer, guys, sort of as we have the work going on. Um, but again, um, always striving for like the best quality in something, it sort of comes at a cost, right? So, um, now, could I like lessen sort of like the arsenal that like I have here? Could I get rid of like the Traeger and in this sort of a propane grill? Totally, yes. I think if you want a all-in-one grill that will kind of do everything for you, you need to look into either like a big green egg or a Kamado Joe, because I think that this can truly be sort of like your all-in-one grill. Um, it does smoking very well. It does, you can you can even do pizzas on this. But they offer a lot of different accessories too. Um, and I think that if you have space only for one grill, this is what you need to get, because yes, this will. Now, the only sort of downside is, I mean, like it does take a while for like the charcoal to get up to temperature. Um, but again, that is really the only downside. Um, Sort of other than, having a little bit of patience, uh, this is this is sort of what you need to get, because this is going to give you the best flavor of sort of everything that you cook. Um, but but again, if you are looking for more sort of a convenience, something that you could just fire up right away, it's hot in 5 minutes. You can get the propane grill. Um, Now, I've actually contemplated selling the Traeger, actually, because this now kind of serves sort of all my smoking needs. Um, but okay, but I will say that the amount of space that I have to smoke something in here is not as big as the Traeger. So if I'm ever doing a like a really big turkey or like a big chicken, or maybe I'm doing several pork butts or whatever, right? I don't think I can necessarily fit all of that in here. So now, I mean, I have done a turkey in here, but it barely fit. So, so again, this is basically serving like 99% of my needs, except for when I want something like really quickly, which I would just use a propane for. But if I have something that I'm cooking that is of significant space, then the Traeger is going to be probably the better option. So that was a very long-winded answer, TB. But hey, you did provide me a really good sort of opportunity to share a bit of knowledge, and I guess why I do things the way that I do them, I guess. So thank you for that. Um, I mean, in case you're not subscribed, again, please do consider subscribing or giving me like a like. That really helps. Again, I think sort of maybe sort of also I should probably talk about sort of what I want to do with this channel a little bit. So this is still a fairly small channel, right? I have like just over like 100 subs. Um, and I mean, I don't expect this to go really sort of anywhere. I do this more for me, which again sort of may sound a bit, sort of selfish, but again, I do. Again, I do enjoy like teaching others, like and showing others uh, sort of like the things like I do and sort of like the techniques that like I've learned sort of over time. Um, so if you don't want to go through like the growing pains of trying to figure out sort of like what's the best way to do this or best way to cook that or whatever, um, you can kind of use me as like an outlet. I've done a lot of testing with a lot of different grills, a lot of different techniques, um, and typically what I do is or like the types of things that I cook is like is basically uh, I've got some sorry. S- so I mean I've got some folks that are starting to smell my food, I guess. Um, so anyway, yeah, I mean I might have to share some with them later on, but anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the fire. So we're still at about 200 here. Um, but this is getting closer to what we want here. So I think after another 10 minutes or so, we'll get closer up to about like the 400 range, like we want to be at. Again, this gauge is probably needs to be adjusted here. I would say that when it's hitting about like that 350 mark, this is closer. I mean, it's probably closer to 400. Um, but anyway, so let's talk about the plan, I guess, sort of after this gets up to temperature, right? So these will be going on sort of in sort of like a circle, pattern on there. Um, and then we will actually, sort of, blast these like at 400 for about 40 minutes. And probably every, 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to be like flipping them and, whatnot. I think after 30 minutes, I'll start to check the temperature. Um, because this is dark meat, we will sort of want to shoot for closer to 170, 175. Just so that because I found that when you do dark meat at 165, it comes out a little bit rubbery, and you actually benefit from it going a little bit hotter actually, or it's like a slightly sort of higher temperature. So yeah, so Yeah, so we'll shoot for 175 here with these. But uh, anyway, let's actually talk about the seasoning a little bit. So I am using something called Meat Church today. So Meat Church puts out a lot of great like rubs and everything. Usually, usually I'm the kind of guy that prefers just to sort of make my own rub. Sort of I'm experimenting and trying to find like the best blend of something. Um, but but again, sort of one sort of brand that I can sort of vouch for is a Meat Church. So they do a lot of really good pre-made rubs, and I've actually used this rub before. It's like a few months back. I actually, or well, maybe 2 months back. Um, I went sort of down to like my parents' place, and sort of grilled some chicken leg quarters, for them. Um, and I actually used this sort of rub on it, and they turned out fantastic, really, really good. Um, but again, I have a few of their rubs. It's like I also have one called like the Holy Gospel, um, and there's one called Blanco that is basically sort of like a salt, pepper, garlic sort of mixture. Um, so that one's really good on steaks, but again, this one is going to be better on sort of chicken. So let me just kind of walk you through what they have on this. You got salt, sugar, brown sugar, spices including paprika, dehydrated garlic, dehydrated jalapeno, um, monosodium glutamate. So that is like the scientific thing or sort of word for MSG. MSG is used a lot in like in Asian cooking, and it's kind of like a superpower spice, really. I mean, some folks have said that it's not really good for you, but honestly, sort of when you get so when you start to cook this stuff, the stuff like briskets, ribs, all that. I mean, sort of none of it is really good for you, right? So I mean, but it tastes really good. Um, but again, so this does have a MSG in it, which really just kind of brings out the flavor of sort of everything else in there, honestly. Dehydrated onion and and some oil, basically. So again, like the big sort of hitters here are like brown sugar, paprika, MSG, garlic, and some sort of dried sort of peppers, basically. Um, is this spicy? I think to people that are maybe sort of not as sort of heat tolerant as others, if you were to serving this to like your girlfriend or like your wife or whatever, they may think it's a little bit spicy. But I think you know this is a good sort of just very mild spice, I would say. It's not going to blow your socks off or anything, um, but it's a mild sort of heat, I guess. So anyway, so that's what we have going on here. I do see the dial moving a little bit more, so let's go check that out. We're at about 350 here. So I think we're getting pretty close to kind of where we want to be at. We also have Kevin Hawthorne. Hey, man, good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. Hey, thank you, Kevin. Um, again, I mean, I do appreciate your support. If you're liking the video so far, please do give me a thumbs up. But we are kind of at a point now where we can go ahead and put this lid on here, um, and we can start to like adjust the racks a little bit. So what I'll do is I will go ahead and kind of position you guys like that. I'm going to put on my gloves again. Oh, you know what? I should do a quick sort of check, right, for my watch. So I'm wearing the Rolex Datejust today, but that'll be protected by the safety glove. So these are really good. I've actually forgotten the brand of these, but they're like 20, 30 bucks on Amazon, and they're good up to like eight 800 sort of 900 degrees. So when you do get one of these types of cookers, these are definitely a a must, right? But anyway, okay, so we're hitting about 400 now. What I'll go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and close this up, but I'll leave maybe about like 1 inch worth of this open. You do want to have some circulation going, even when you lock in your temperature. So again, so I'll kind of put that about there, and then I'll also kind of close that up so there's about like an inch worth of sort of circulation there. That will kind of lock in our temp here. Um, so let's go ahead and kind of complete this setup here. Let's go ahead and put this on. All right, that's pretty good. And let's get two of our grates. And we will put, we might be able to, yeah, let's put these a little bit closer. Now, I mean, you might ask, why did I put these a little bit closer versus higher up? Or sort of, why do I put grates where they are, right? So this is sort of in like the middle rack right now. And again, I definitely do want these wings to have have sort of contact or sort of, so something that like we'll do sort of later on is we'll actually take this sort of a circular piece off and actually expose them to like the heat just to get a nice crisp. But what we're doing now is really more focusing on getting the internals cooked, right? So if I was smoking something that was really sort of like a low and slow type of cook, you don't want to expose it to too much of the actual like fire itself. You want it to be further up. But if you do want, I guess, a bit more of that like fire exposure, uh, you do want it to be sort of closer down. So again, I do want some of that fire exposure. So that's why we will, essentially have these grates a little bit closer. Anyway, so what I'll do now is I will go ahead and start to put these on. You know what? Actually, sorry. Um, I almost made a very stupid mistake. Let's actually go back here real quick. We need to get these seasoned up, right? So let's go ahead and put these back in here. Again, this is about um, maybe 1.5 to 2 pounds worth of wings. So that's what we're working with now. I don't want all this heat to escape. So let's close that for a minute. But let's go ahead and start to apply some of the seasoning. So what I'll do is I'm just going to toss this, right, to get like a nice sort of even coat. So and as we toss, I'm going to keep on adding a little bit more. 5-second rule of this. And if you find that they're not really like, you sort of you would sort of getting sort of rotated sort of how you want, just sort of manually you kind of flip them over and start to apply the seasoning to this. And again, just sort of keep on applying the seasoning until they're sort of fully coated. You don't want to be like sort of too much on there, like, or, pockets of it on there. But again, just keep on tossing, keep on flipping until you're happy with sort of how they look. I think we're getting pretty close. Flip these over a little bit. These are pretty much there. All right. So this is what we're left with. Again, sorry if that's not really coming through because of the lighting here, but I think these are pretty well seasoned. Now I'll put you guys back over here. All right. Let's go ahead and put these on. So again, I'm going to start to apply these on the outer ring. The reason being is the sort of like the smoke and sort of like the heat are coming up out of these sort of vents from the circular piece. And again, I want as close of contact to sort of where the smoke is coming out, sort of sort of as possible. That's it. Let me put on my glove here real quick. Okay, so now that I've got these sort of, let's look around here. The ones that we haven't done yet can just go sort of in at the center. Let's make a little room for the last one. So this is what we have going on. And let's go ahead and close this and get this back up to so like the 400 there. Yeah. So I mean, so when you have it open, you're pretty much going to lose sort of all your heat. Sort of very similar to like like an oven, right? So this is basically just like a charcoal oven, basically. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to open up this vent again, and I'm going to open up this one so that we can get back to 400 a bit quicker. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. And I think, guys, given that there's a bit of here, let's flip this back up to I guess me. Since there's a bit of work going on, just like a few sort of units down, and since this will take probably about 40 minutes, like an hour, like to really get going here. I think what I'll do is I'll probably cut this stream a bit short here, and then sort of what I might do is I might actually come back and kind of just show you sort of like the in sort of product, and I can give you sort of like the taste test then. So guys, again, thank you for tuning in. Again, it's like a little bit of like a shorter stream today, but again, if you follow me on sort of Instagram at a Logan's Grill Streams, or sorry, Logan Hall's Grill Streams, um, you can find me on there, and that's where I post sort of like the final pictures and everything. And then of course, if you're not subscribed already, again, I would appreciate your sub, and it's like a like. If you like what I'm doing, leave me a comment. If you don't like what I'm doing, even better, leave me a comment and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I think it's sort of bad to assume that sort of even people might like sort of like me that has done a lot of grilling. Um, we're all still learning, right? So again, I don't think you're ever truly done learning, right? I mean, you know, people that are in their 80s, 90s, or whatever, they're sort of still learning you know, about themselves and whatnot. So I think, as long as you try to learn something new sort of every day, and take feedback, t- t- d- do take do take do take some criticism, because that's how you're going to make yourself better, right? So anyway, sorry to get sort of inspirational there, but again, I think what I'll do is I'm gonna let this come back up to temperature at around 400. Let that go for about 40 minutes, and I will likely post the sort of the end result on my Instagram. Again, Hall's Grill Streams. Again, it's like there will be some underscores between each word there. But then also, please, please do consider subscribing. Like, so that is what sort of helps the channel grow. So again, guys, thank you so much for your time this week. Don't forget, actually, I do have one more stream going on today. So later at about 6 Eastern today, I will actually be doing another stream using that small sort of Weber grill that I had earlier, and we're actually going to do a steak on that. Again, I want to show folks that you don't really need a lot to get a really good tasting steak. You don't get like you don't need something like this to get like a really good tasting steak. Sort of all you need is a really basic grill and charcoal, and you've got a great, a bit of technique too, but then you've got a great tasting steak. So anyway, please be sure to tune in for that. You can find that on my channel. You'll get, so that'll be in probably in sort of 3 to 4 hours from now. Again, sort of around 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. Um, again, if you can make it to that, awesome. But if you're done for today, then that's okay too. So again, guys, thank you so much for your time. I think I will go ahead and wrap it up here. And follow me so that you see the end result later on. So again, thank you all and have a great rest of your weekend.